marking Christmas celebrations by attending a church service in PCI Narrow County, where he defended the planned countrywide vaccination of livestock.
Nimekuja kuleta watoto huku juu hatukuwa na pesa kwenda maushago juu Januari inatungoja.
Christmas joy for many families diminished by the current harsh economic times, with many remaining in their homes and a few thronging entertainment sports.
Oh no, we are stuck. Can you see those people fighting? They have all the energy that it takes to save me.
In our special report tonight, we feature a worship service for the deaf, where they sing with their hands and each song is translated into sign language. Well, a very good evening to you and Merry Christmas. I do appreciate that you could make time to be with us here on K24 on this 25th day of December 2024. I do believe that you did indeed spend time with your loved ones, and you still are. You're just in time for K24 evening edition, a bulletin that you can watch live across our social media platforms at K24 TV. Now, welcome to the program. I am Ian Keitani, and our sign language interpreter is Mudhoni Wagaki. We begin our bulletin now, and the Police Reforms Working Group and the Catholic Church have castigated the government following the recent spate of abductions targeting social media users who have been critical of the government. They are now calling for the release of social media users Bilal Mwangi, Peter Muteti and Bernard Kavule, whose whereabouts remain unknown days after they were abducted in broad daylight in different locations. Now, both organizations have further warned that the trend is creating a dangerous precedent when it comes to respecting human rights ahead of the 2027 general elections. David Kagina opens our bulletin tonight.
The Police Reforms Working Group has strongly condemned the recent abduction of several social media users in Kenya, including Bilal Mwangi, Peter Muteti and Bernard Kavule. The group also expressed deep concerns over the reported arrests of Naomi, also known as Sabel Toto, at the Nuwela police station, and the growing public anxiety regarding the whereabouts and detention of Gabriel Supet. In a statement released on December 25, 2024, the Police Reforms Working Group says, "We remind the government of Kenya of its unequivocal duty to uphold the Constitution, which guarantees the freedom and security of the person under Article 29. Any arrest or detention must strictly adhere to the rule of law, including the obligation to provide access to legal representation, present those arrested before a court of law within 24 hours, or release them on bond as stipulated in Article 49 of the Constitution." The Police Reforms Working Group also highlighted the United Nations Declaration on the Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearances, emphasizing that enforced disappearances constitute a grave violation of human rights. The group called upon the government to immediately release all individuals who have been abducted or arbitrarily detained and ensure their safety and well-being. The Police Reforms Working Group also urged the authorities to investigate these incidents thoroughly and bring those responsible to justice. Should the police, the security and law enforcement agencies fail to demonstrate their commitment to the work of the state, National Police spokesperson publicly stated on Tuesday that the abductions are not the precedent and will embolden further violations of the human rights. Any failure to act sets a dangerous precedent by holding accountable those responsible for these abductions. Archbishop Martin Kivuva, the Catholic Archbishop of Mombasa, has also expressed grave concern over the recent spate of abductions, drawing parallels to the dark days of colonialism.
Kumbuka wakati wa ukoloni, haya ndio yalikuwa yanatokea. Mtu unadhaniwa wewe, hata umewaza, umedhani, na unachukuliwa, unapelekwa kuumizwa, kufungiwa na kadhalika. Tunamsihi rais, kama ndiye anajua wanaohusika, au kama yeyote yule anayenisikiliza wakati huu, it is bringing us back many years before independence. Na haya hata tusaidia hata kujenga confidence ya vijana wetu wa kesho.
Bishop Jackson Ole Sapit of the ACK has also weighed in on the matter.
These are acts of darkness. These are not acts of the light. For any of those abductions in concealed vehicles or in the shadow of the unknown, only speak of us acting as agents of darkness.
They emphasize that that such actions erode public trust and undermine the government's legitimacy.
Njia nzuri ni hata kama anajulikana, mtu huitwa akaonywa, mtu huitwa akashauriwa, mtu utafutwa kama yupo ameshikika.
Whoever has wrong, let that person be arrested in daylight, brought to the court of law, and whatever wrong will be established, and the person will be arraigned according to what they have done, not according to what we don't know.
The church further stressed the importance of dialogue and peaceful engagement as a means of addressing dissent and resolving conflict. They argued that resorting to intimidation and coercion would only breed fear and distrust within the society. Archbishop Kivuva also warned that the action could be perceived as attempts to stifle dissent and suppress freedom of expression.
Na ukweli ni kwamba kwa sababu ya ile hali ya transition ambao tunayo, hivi watu wengi wanaangalia 2027 itaanza kuhesabika kama njia moja ya kutia watu hofu.
David Kagina, K24, Nairobi.
Now, still on the same issue is that African Union chairmanship contender and Azimio chief Raila Odinga has blasted the government over the recent spate of abductions in the country. Odinga says the abductions are an embarrassment to the government and that it should move to end the vices immediately. The Azimio chief was speaking at a Christmas church service where he reiterated that the country is at risk of a clawback on democracy if such vices are allowed to continue unchallenged. Martin Opio with more.
As cases of abduction and disappearances continue to rise in the country, ODM leader Raila Odinga is weighing in on the matter. In his Christmas message during a Christmas service at St. Peter's Nyamira SEK Church in Bondo, Odinga pointed out that the year has not been an easy one for many Kenyans, stemming from serious economic problems, Gen Z demonstrations, and loss of lives. The country also witnessed numerous cases of abductions. He says that this should come to an end as the year wraps up.
Challenges about demonstrations. Lives have been lost in the course of this year. Innocent lives. But we have also seen something that we want to see end with this year. The issue of abductions of innocent people. This is a primitive thing.
The country has had at least 20 abductions since the Gen Z protests began mid this year, with another 3 social media activists becoming victims of the latest spate of abductions since last week. The abductions have been linked to government criticism.
And it is something that is very strange. You cannot live in a country where people disappear or people are abducted for no other reason and kept incommunicado for a long time. That shows that there's no government. The government must take this matter seriously. And this thing must end completely.
Odinga wants the government to handle the issue, which he says is embarrassing to the government itself. Odinga argues that Kenyans cannot continue to live in a situation where they are abducted and kept incommunicado for no other reason. According to the former premier, recent abductions are a clawback on democracy.
People have been abducted. Families have been left in pain. Many parents have been crying. Our child was abducted the other day and by some people who were uniformed, and you have never seen this child up to now. These kind of things are very strange. So I want to urge the government to ensure that this matter ends completely this year. We want a safe and secure country. We want a safe and secure country. Gone were those days when they used to arrest you and take you to Nyayo House. But at least then you're being taken to Nyayo House, which is a government institution. These days you're being taken to unknown places. We don't want this kind of primitive things to happen in our country. It's primitive and it's unacceptable completely.
At the same time, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka has also faulted the government over the rising cases of abduction in Kenya, claiming that the government has failed in terms of taming the rising vices.
These illegal abductions in our country, affecting mainly the young people, must stop. Unfortunately, they seem to be on the increase. And the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kanja, is now publicly gone on to say that it is not the police who are involved with these abductions, then Kenyans ask themselves the questions: if it is not the police, who is it? And the second question is, what are the police doing to stop those abductions?
On his part, his elder brother Oburu Odinga, who is also the senator for Siaya County, lashed out at those who are opposed to President William Ruto's move to incorporate both Odinga and former President Uhuru Kenyatta in his administration, saying the country ought to be united.
You know, there are some people who are complaining that the coming in of Uhuru Kenyatta together with Ruto is interfering and taking our share. There is no share that he is taking. What he has done, and he has done it with the concurrence of our leader Raila Amolo Odinga, is to further unite the country.
President Ruto appointed allies of Odinga and former President Uhuru Kenyatta into government as part of his political strategy, claiming that he is seeking a unified country. Martin Opio, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Now, to that end, the Independent Policing Oversight Authority has this particular evening released a statement in regards to the state of abductions here in the country. And the statement reads, the Independent Policing Oversight Authority is concerned with the rising cases of abductions of various persons, allegedly by members of the National Police Service. This is after reports of the abductions emerged in mainstream media and in social media. The victims include nurses Bill Mwangi, Peter Muteti Njeru, and of course Bernard Kavuli, and a fourth person who is yet to be identified. It goes ahead to say, in line with provisions of Section 6A of the IPOA Act, which obligates the authority to investigate any complaints related to disciplinary or criminal offences committed by any member of the service, rapid response teams were dispatched to the areas of incidents with instructions to obtain all information that may be relevant in unveiling the circumstances surrounding the abductions and whether there was police involvement, as generally alleged. Now, finally, it says, lastly, IPOA notes that it is the responsibility of the National Police Service to protect all persons in Kenya against illegal denial of their fundamental rights and freedoms enshrined in the Constitution through abductions. The authority, therefore, calls upon the Inspector General of Police to take urgent measures to stop this growing and worrying trend of abductions in the country. They say IPOA remains committed to being independent, impartial, and fair in its operations. That is a statement signed by the chairperson of that particular authority, Ahmed Isaac Hassan. We, of course, continue to keep tabs on the state of abductions in the country and at least follow up on whether those who've been abducted before have been reunited with their families. Now, crossing over to Narok County, President William Ruto today led the country in marking Christmas celebrations, attending a church service in all PCI, Narok County. The head of state took the opportunity to call for restraint while defending the planned vaccination of livestock countrywide, terming it as necessary. President Ruto also reiterated his commitment to farmers, noting that increased production would lead to a growth in the country's economy. As Christians across the globe marked Christmas Day, President William Ruto joined millions of Kenyans in attending the Christmas service locally to celebrate the birth of Jesus. The Commander-in-Chief attended a church service in Narok County, using the opportunity to advocate for the planned mass vaccination of livestock. Despite the opposition the vaccination continues to face from a section of farmers and the political class, who remain adamant that their livestock will not be vaccinated.
Tunataka kuhakikisha kwamba sehemu hii yote tunaweka vaccination ama tunaweka chanjo mazao yetu, tuondoe foot and mouth disease ambaye inaharibu mifugo yetu, tuondoe ile inaitwa PPR ambaye inaharibu mifugo yetu ile ndogo, kondoo na mbuzi, ndio tuweze kuendelea na kupata nyongeza ya mapato na pia tuendeshe biashara yetu kupitia kwa kilimo na kupitia kwa ufugaji.
President Ruto was also quick to reiterate his commitment to ensuring the economy bounces back further through the provision of fertilizer to farmers. Ruto noted the importance of increased production, insisting that high yields would lead to the growth of the country's economy.
tumesambaza mbolea kila sehemu. Magunia milioni 100 tayari yamefika. Milioni 5 ingine itafika hapa kabla ya Februari. Na tutahakikisha wakulima wetu wote wa mahindi, wa ngano, wa miwa, wa kahawa, wa chai watapata mbolea kwa bei nafuu, ndio tuzalishe mazao yetu, tuhakikisha kwamba tuko na chakula ya kutosha taifa na tuko pia na mazao ya kuuza, ndio tuweze kukuza uchumi wa taifa letu.
As families continue to enjoy the festivities with their loved ones, the head of state further called for restraint, emphasizing the need for parents to protect their children, especially the youth, against drug abuse, while calling for unity among families, saying it is the only way to a nation's unity and success.
Tuwachunge watoto wetu, tuwazuie na mambo ya madawa, mambo ya pombe, mambo ya tabia zisizo nzuri. Pia tulinde familia zetu. Kila mzee na mama tujue familia ndio msingi wa taifa. Na sote tuungane kama wananchi wa taifa letu la Kenya wakati huu wa Krismasi. Tujue ya kwamba Krismasi ni wakati wa sherehe, ni wakati wa furaha. Lakini pia tufanye yale yote tunayofanya kwa kiasi.
Well, that was, of course, President William Ruto. On that note, we take our first break. I'll be back in a moment. Don't go away.
As the sun rises, so do we, as we trust it to rise and set without any worries interrupting your day. StarTime's home solar solution with solar panels, hybrid